Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Rishi Sunak's latest attempts to cost his party as many votes as possible as he conducts one interview in which he has to, with a straight face, deny being a salad, and how we're being told that the ITV interview that Sunak recorded last week is going to be very bad for him. You know, Dan Hodges of the Mail on Sunday has been insisting that the ITV interview with Rishi Sunak is going to be dreadful. This is the interview which Sunak conducted last Thursday when he should have been representing the UK on the international stage for what is surely the last big anniversary of D-Day, which will be attended by veterans. Sunak's already cost himself and his party a great deal of support over his missteps last week. In fact, it caused a complete change in Conservative strategy. They've abandoned even, much pretense of winning and are now focusing on pure damage limitation. But if this ITV interview is as bad as Hodges claims, and I can well believe it, it doesn't sound like his campaign week is going to be any more helpful to Sunak than the last two have been. There comes a point, I came to sort of a bit of a realisation this morning, just going off on a slight tangent. So, many years ago, and I used to watch Friends, and which is quite good for an American comedy, but there were bits in it where I sometimes would have to sort of change the channel. And it was always the bits where Ross was embarrassing himself, because I cannot stand to see people embarrassed. I can't do. It's like nails on a blackboard. I can't deal with it. And Ross is a fictional character. No one was really humiliating themselves, but whenever he did something really cringeworthy, I go, I'll just change the channel for a minute. So I missed quite a few scenes in Friends, and I thought to myself this morning, Rishi Sunak is absolutely humiliating himself here, but I don't feel a shred of sympathy, and it's because he's just doing it maliciously. He is hapless, he is feckless, he is an idiot. He has no political intelligence at all. For someone who must have been clever in some areas, he became an investment banker. He has no political intelligence. He is humiliating himself. He's had to deny being a salad. I don't feel any sympathy. If there's going to be any narrowing of the polls, and I mean real narrowing, not just a natural ebb and flow, it's not going to be happening this week. Sunak's manifesto launches today. I don't actually know exactly when. Maybe it will have launched by the time this video comes out, maybe not. An article in The Guardian claims that if it falls flat, and it's going to fall flat, then some of the loons on the far right of the party are going to launch their own next week. This is said to include Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick because, of course, I can't imagine it will have the full support of the swivel-eyed loon wing of the party. Remember, one of the reasons why Sunak was not ultimately deposed is because many on the right of the party wanted him to take full responsibility. They wanted to be able to say after the election loss, this is what happens when you adopt Marxist policies, because they think he's a Marxist, right? Well, they say he is anyway. So that they can swing the party even further to the right. Oh, the reason we lost, it's not because he kept appeasing us, it's because he didn't appease us enough. I can't imagine they're going to be impressed if some of their more insane colleagues launch their own manifesto in order to muddy the waters and at the very least draw accusations of undermining the party's campaign efforts. Because if they do that, then after there's this terrible loss, they can go, well, okay, yeah, Rishi Sunak was making a personal arse of it, but actually it was your manifesto that really cocked it up. But the prospects of a Tory rebel manifesto and the ITV interview are all problems for the future, albeit near future. It's possible that the ITV interview will be bad, but won't cost Sunak any more support. After all, he may be quite close to the bare minimum support anyway. As for this rebel manifesto, maybe saner voices from the swivel-eyed loons will persuade Braverman and Jenrick not to be quite so stupid. But there was another interview that went out last night. Sunak faced the BBC's Nick Robinson. Did not go well. One of the problems Sunak has is that he keeps pushing stupid lies. I know we say that a lot of journalists tend to give Conservatives an easy ride, especially compared with politicians from progressive parties, but there's a limit. If any journalist were to allow Sunak to tell robustly discredited lies, they would be accused of bias. They have to maintain standards. And the line about Labour raising taxes for every household by £2,000 has been debunked by numerous official bodies, including the Treasury. Sunak's own government has debunked the claim. By persisting with this claim, he just invites journalists to call him out as a liar every time he mentions it, at least on broadcast news. But even some of the print media are also having to say, look, Rishi, stop telling this lie. It's stupid. We cannot back it for you. We cannot back it. It's been discredited. The traditional way to deceive in politics is to play a bit fast and loose with statistics. You say something which is technically true, but just apply a slightly invalid conclusion to it. You present it in an incomplete way or in the wrong context. That way you'll get experts say, well, this isn't showing the full picture, but they won't be able to say you're lying. But Sunak and his entire team just don't understand the fundamentals of anything. So every time Sunak does an interview now, he's been watched by millions of voters being exposed as a liar. Utterly insane that he thinks this is a good thing to do. It also shows that they've completely run out of ideas because they should be abandoning this. He's beaten up his own credibility, but that is just one of his problems. A second is that he is now being ridiculed. He and his ministerial colleagues are being, or the ones who can show their face, that is. Most of them actually, most of the cabinet aren't actually doing any campaigning other than their own constituencies, because quite a lot of them are up for losing their own seat. But the colleagues he can get to do the interviews for him, they're being asked if Sunak will stick around for the election itself. I don't think any journalist in the UK has ever asked a party leader if they're still going to be the party leader at the election in the middle of the election campaign. It's an insane question, or it should be, but such is the shambles of the campaign and the fact that Sunak keeps going into hiding now and then, it is a question that is being asked and arguably needs to be asked. And then a surreal turn in the BBC interview last night. Rishi Sunak had to deny being a salad. Just into outright farce territory here. Now, there was context, of course. Nick Robinson was making the point that Sunak was ineffective at winning back voters from the far right because Nigel Farage was way more attractive to them. He described Farage as representing a full roast dinner with all the trimmings, whereas Sunak was merely a quinoa salad. But Sunak should have seen how it would be presented and framed his response in such a way as to refute the main point without getting into the metaphors, because Rishi Sunak denies being a salad is not the sort of headline his team will want to see. And yet here we are. Not that his team have any right to complain, they're as bad as he is. In fact, the wider party are doing themselves no favours. Conor Burns, a former minister in Boris Johnson's government, has tweeted for the different wings of his party to stop talking about what comes after the election. Because he's putting the blame particularly on the One Nation Tories, but he's telling both wings to basically shut up because it's making it harder for candidates to win their seats now, which is a fair enough comment in some ways, given that if you're talking about your post-Sunak future in opposition, you are sort of giving the game away that you're going to lose the election. And although it seems vaguely ridiculous to claim otherwise to most people right now, the issue is that this sort of thinking costs extra seats. That is Tory candidates who could still be MPs if their party pulled together, but won't because they're not doing. I mean, consider how this week is panning out. On Sunday, journalists were asking if Rishi Sunak would even make it to polling day. On Monday, Rishi Sunak has to deny being a salad. Today, Sunak will be launching his party's manifesto. Given that he has completely destroyed his personal reputation and his party's reputation is also in the gutter, it seems unlikely it will win him a poll boost. And given that this manifesto will have been rushed, do not be surprised if Labour or any other parties find a few little holes in it as well. Also, Sunak is making his launch at Silverstone, so expect to see a lot of clips of F1 cars losing their wheels. Cannot understand his team suggesting launching the manifesto at a place which invites memes. They presumably are thinking in terms of the association with cutting-edge innovative technology. But no, that is not the link people will be drawing. The link they will be drawing is cars losing their wheels and crashing into the tyre wall. Tomorrow is the now infamous ITV interview that's going to be broadcast, which by all accounts is going to be very bad for Sunak, and will just remind people about his D-Day misdeeds. There's also a Sky News event, I think in Grimsby, not far off from me. I think that's going to include Sunak and Starmer. I'm not entirely sure what the format of that is. Thursday is Labour's manifesto launch, which will introduce more voters to some of the policies they've had for a while, but will now be there in fixed form and will be reported on. It will also be of more obvious benefit to more people than the tax breaks for the rich that the Tory manifesto will be full of. Then there's another TV debate. This is a sort of all-party one, so I don't think it's going to include Sunak and Starmer. More like last Friday's. It has the same useless host who presided over the shit show of the first TV debate, but hopefully they'll have learned lessons and sharpened up their format. And although I don't know what might specifically happen on Friday, there's every chance that we'll be taking stock of more polls showing that Reform UK are claiming more and more undecided Conservative voters. Some of the people who insisted that the polls narrowing was inevitable, as if it was some sort of force of nature, are now starting to realise that the polls which talked about the Tories winning only double-digit number of seats could actually happen. I am now struggling to even consider what the lay of the land might be going into the final week of the campaign at the end of this month, because unless the Conservatives are holding something in reserve, like an absolutely blinder of a digital media campaign, I'm not sure where we're going to end up here. Because when as the Prime Minister, you're having to deny being a salad, I'm not really sure how you come back from that. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.